object, you can create a copy of that object, which is not, we are not allocating actual memory, but it is just a new name to the previously created object. And then we have also seen in short how to write a methods in for the class. So today we are going to focus more on methods. What are different types of methods you can write, how to pass parameters to a methods, how to return results from a method, then what are different types of parameter passing, or how to return more than one values from a function. Then if time permits, we can go for a constructor. We'll see what are different types of constructors, and today I'll explain you how to accept input from the user. Till now we are just accepting or using hard coded input. We are giving directly the value to the variables. Instead of that, we'll ask user to enter the input. So how to accept input, that I'll explain you today. So let's start with the methods. So in previous class, we have seen how to create a box class, and we added three variables in box class: height, width, and depth. And we have written a function that is volume, to calculate volume of a box and return the value. So for syntax of a method, method means a function which is exactly similar to C functions. So if you are familiar with C functions, you will find it very much similar, or it's exactly same. So the name of a function, that is method name, then parameter list, return type, and body of a method. So these are four what we can say for parameters of a function: return type, function name, list of parameters, and body. Body means actual the code of that particular function. So here type specifies type of a data returned by the method, and this should be any valid type. It can be a class type. Class is also a user defined data type. So it can return a class. For example, if your class is student and I want to return a student, so you can return student here. If a method does not have return type, you have to write void. Even if in C or C++, it is not compulsory to write void if a method is not returning anything. But in case of Java, it is must. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So the name of a method is specified by name. Name is it is any identifier which is allowed. This can be any legal identifier other than those already used by any other items in a current scope. So you cannot have multiple names. If you are using a name for a variable or a class, you cannot use same name for a method. That is the only restriction, but it should be a valid name. Then parameter list, the parameters that you are passing to this method. So this is again a sequence of type and identifier pair. For example, int x comma int y, or integer length comma integer breadth, like this. So type and identifier pair separated by commas. Parameters are essentially variables that receive values of the arguments passed to the method when it is called. So we have from main or from any other function, we are calling that method, and actual method. So when you call that method, the actual method code will get executed. So if method has no parameters, then parameter list will be empty. You just have opening and closing braces. And return value, that return type other than void, return value should be there, and to the calling routine. And this is the example. Return is a keyword and the value, and this type of this value should match with a return type. For example, in extending our previous example, that is class box, which has three variables: width, height, and depth. We have now writing a method volume, and this method is not returning anything. We didn't have return keyword here, and we're not passing any parameters. So this return type is void. We are just saying volume is width into height into depth, and these variables are class variables. And class variables can be accessed by class methods. No need to define these variables in this method. Okay. And in case how to call this method, so you need an object to call this method. So we are creating here two objects, mybox1 and mybox2. Here we are assigning values to mybox1 variables and mybox2 variables, and we call volume function with mybox1 object. So it will take, when this volume function is called with mybox1, in previous lecture we have seen that. So this pointer will point to this volume, and this width, height and depth, these variables it will take for object mybox1, that is 10, 20 and 15, and will calculate the result with this width, height into depth and display it. Volume is this one, 3000. When we are calling this method from mybox2, so again the same method will be called. It will execute these lines, but now width, height and depth it will take for second object, that is mybox2. So depending upon which object is calling this method, the method or the content of this method will get executed. So these variables are just a reference variables. When you call from any object, then it will get actual values. So inside the volume method, the instance variables, that is width, height and depth, are referred to directly without preceding them with an object name or dot operator. Here no need to use dot operator. Like in case of main, when we are assigning the values to these variables, now main method is in different class. Note that volume method is in box class where these variables are defined, but main method is in another class, demo class. And so to assign these variables, to use these variables, it will need an object, mybox1 dot width, mybox1 dot height. So this dot operator is required in a function which is not the function of that particular class. So when a method uses an instance variable that is defined by its class, so the variables which are used in that particular class are called instance variables. It does so directly without explicit reference to the object or without use of dot operator. So when we are using this height, width and depth in main, we need dot operator. But when we are using height, width and depth here in volume method, which is in a box class, we don't need dot operator or object. So method is always invoked relative to some object of its class. Invoked means called. Method is called with the reference to a particular object. Once this invocation has occurred, the object is known. So you know for which object you have called that method, object 1 or object 2, like this. So thus within a method, there is no need to specify object as a second time. That means width, height and depth inside volume method implicitly refer to the copies of variables found in that object that it invoked volume 1. If we call this volume 1 with mybox1, so the volume method which is referring to height, width and depth, these three variables are of mybox1. So it will refer to the values of mybox1, height, width and depth. And when you call volume method with mybox2, it will refer to these values. Again, to give an example, suppose I have a class rectangle. A rectangle has two variables, length and breadth. So these are instance variables of class rectangle. And I'm defining a function area. Now note that here I'm returning value, returning area. So to return variable, I need to store intermediate result. So that's why I have declared a variable int y. Now note that this y is a local variable of this function. This is not an instance variable. This is not a variable of a class. This is the scope of this variable is only in this area function. So I have defined a local variable y, length and breadth. This is a class variable, length and breadth. So area of rectangle is L into B, and that I have stored in y and written y. Note that data type of y is integer and return type of area is integer. These two should match. This is how you can return a variable. So this my class rectangle is ready with two variables and one function. Now how to use this class? So I have created one more class example which contains main method. And here I am creating object of rectangle class. Say rect r is equal to new rect. This is how you can create an object. Now here we are assigning values, some values, hard-coded values to length and breadth. Now here I am defining one more local variable for main, and we call r dot area. So r dot area, this line, first it will go, control will transfer here, it will define a local variable y. Length and breadth is, it will take 5 and 2. Will calculate the result, that is 10. That result is stored in y, and it will return this value y. And that value y will be assigned to x. So now x, the result in x will be 10. And it is system.out.println, area of rectangle is 10. I'll explain you with the Python tutor how this executes step by step. The same program I have copied here. So class rectangle, integer length and breadth. This is a constructor. I have created a constructor instead of assigning values in main. I'll explain you what is a constructor again. No need to give return type. Then int area, this is a local variable. Then here we have created an object by passing these values. This is a local variable called area function, and area of rectangle is. Let's check whether it will work or not. So as you know, execution always starts from main. So first line to get executed is line number 21. Here object is getting created. Rect r is equal to new rect 5 comma 2. So this is assignment operator. So right hand side of assignment operator will be executed first. That is new rect 5 comma 2. So this is we are calling a constructor. So this is a constructor. When object gets created, it will automatically call a constructor. So for any object, you can see object here, length and breadth, which is initialized to 0. This is rect instance. And L and B, these values we passed through a constructor L and B, which is 5 and 2. So in this constructor, it will assign length L to length. After execution of this statement, value of length will be, instead of 0, it will be 5. And breadth will be 2. So these values are copied here. So our object is ready. Object R is ready with length is 5 and breadth is 2. Now here variable x is created. This is a local variable, and x is equal to r dot area. So area function will be called. Note that length and breadth is of r, where r has length and breadth 5 and 2. So you call this method with r. So it will point to that particular object. And pick length as 5 and breadth as 2 and calculate the result as 10 and return this value y. So note that here y is 10. This is a local stack of area function. Here value of y is 10. Local variable y is created with value 10. But when you return from that function, y gets deleted and this value of y will be stored in x. So you can see here local variable x is created and with value 10. So right hand side will execute first, and this return statement will return the value in x. And when you display, it will display area of rectangle is 10. Now suppose if I want to accept values from a user, instead of passing hard-coded values, if I want to accept value, ask user to enter length, enter breadth and accept it. So how to do that? It is not as simple as C or C++. In brief, just I'll explain you how Java considers your input. So in Java, there is no standard statement for doing input or output like printf, scanf statement in C or cin statement in C++. We didn't have a standard input statement to perform input or output. So all input and output is done using methods which are found in classes within JDK. JDK, we have seen what is JDK, Java Development Kit, which has inbuilt packages like java.lang, java.util, java.io. So there are different classes available in Java Development Kit to perform input and output. So we have java.io package for input output. This package is collection of classes which may be used by other programs also. So in Java, there is a term which is called stream. Stream means flow of characters. So in Java, when we read a data, it is called input stream. And when we write a data, it is called output stream. So this is a program. I think it is blurred or it is not visible. So this is your program, user program, and you pass some input through a keyboard. When I type input, say 10, 20, so that is called input stream. It is reading from a keyboard, or it is called reading data. So your program is reading a data from a keyboard, will perform some operation and will write data on a terminal. Terminal means your screen. You are getting output on your screen. So that is called output data. Output data is called writing a data. So these are two terms, reading a data and writing a data, are called input stream or output stream. So these things should be clear. Input, output. Input means reading a data, output means writing a data. Then in Java, there are three streams: system.in, system.out, and system.error. If you observe, whenever we want to print something, we are writing system.out.println or print. So to display on a screen, we are using system.out, a stream or class. The output stream for normal result to the terminal, we are using system.out. And to read data from a keyboard, we have to use system.in. System.error is for printing error message on a terminal. So whenever you type anything from a keyboard, this is a keyboard. If I type, say I want to type 10, input length is 10. So 10 is considered as character 1, character 0, like this. It will read it as a stream of characters. The data a keyboard sent to a program is character data, even when the character includes 0 and 9. It is not a numerical data. Please note that numerical data means value 10, 1, 0 means numerical value 10, and character data means character 1 and 0. So we have to make computer to understand that this is not a string 1, 0, it is a number 10. If I want to perform operation like here I have to calculate area, so I need to multiply 10 into 20. But if 10 is a string or character 1, 0, 1 followed by 0 or 2 followed by 0, I'm not able to multiply it because these are not numerical values. This is a string. So as a programmer, we need to convert these characters into a number or numerical value. If your program does arithmetic, the input character will be converted to one of its primitive numeric type. So we have seen what are primitive numeric type: integer, float, then double, short, byte, long, etc. So we need to convert it to numeric data type. Then we can calculate the result using arithmetic operation, and that result we want to display again on a monitor. So we need a system to convert that numerical value to again a character stream and to display it on a screen. So this is a code to accept input and display it. So I'll explain it for you. Here I'm using a class import java.io package .star. So from this IO package, there is a class called input stream reader. This is my variable in stream is equal to new input stream reader. So I'm creating object of input stream reader in stream, which reads data from a keyboards. So I'm passing here system.in. Then I'm using one more class, that is buffered reader. Here I'm creating object of class buffered reader is equal to new buffer reader, and this object in stream I'm passing as a parameter to buffered reader class. Then here I'm creating one string variable in data. and I ask user to enter a data. So in data is equal to, now I'm using this object stdin.readline, and you entered this data. So here java.io says that you are using java.io, all the classes defined in java.io package. Here using star, the star stands for all the classes. Any class inside this package can be used. So these two classes, input stream reader and buffered reader. So here, when we read data from a keyboard, it is in a system.in stream. So it is in the form of characters, 1, 2, 3, 4 as single character. So input stream reader will club it together till user press enter. So 1, 0 and then I press enter. That means 1, 0 is one number, or I want to enter 123. So 1, 2, 3 and enter. So these characters must be buffered or attached to one another till user press enter. So we need this sequence 1, 2, 3 buffered together as one number, and then it is passed to a program. Program will calculate the value and send the result. So it is like an assembly line. System.in gets characters from a keyboard. We call input stream reader. It reads character from system.in. So input stream reader, in stream is your variable, is equal to new input stream system.in. And then we need a buffer reader, objects hands data to your program when it is requested. So it will, if one is user entered 1, it will put 1, then user entered 2, it will attach 1 and 2 together as one string, then 3, 1, 2, 3. If user enters enter, so it has to convert that 123 into a string or a result, and that will be passed to your program. And this is again a string input. What you are getting is in data. In data is a string input. The program reads a line of a character from a buffered reader by using this method read line. So read line method will read a complete line till user press enter. But we want numeric input. So if you want user to enter numeric data, your program need to convert this character, that is string data, to a numeric type. The character of first read, that is string object, and then string object we need to convert to the numeric type, integer, float, double, etc. And this is using wrapper class. So these are wrapper classes is available in Java, because Java is pure object oriented language, and it deals with classes and objects only. So for every primitive data type, like byte, we have byte wrapper class. So note that B is capital. So for class name starts with a capital letter. So for each primitive type, there is corresponding wrapper class. Wrapper class has class variable as well as methods working or operating on that particular data type. So you need to convert a type from one to another, or some operations are defined for that particular data type. So that club together into a wrapper class. So wrapper class can be used to convert primitive data values into object, or some objects into primitive data type. So if I want to accept two inputs from user, num and square, so first two steps will be same. Input stream reader, create object of input stream reader. While creating object, pass system.in. So system.in, it will read data from a keyboard in stream object. Then pass this in stream object to buffered reader in stdin, and use stdin.readline function to read user input and store it in a string variable. And this string variable you need to convert into integer. So we have used integer.parseInt. In previous lecture, I have tried to use this integer.parseInt, and somebody asked whether can we use data type casting here, because we are not converting one numerical variable to another numerical variable. We are converting string or character to numerical variable. That's why we need wrapper classes. So here wrapper class integer, and this is a method of wrapper class parseInt. So parseInt will convert this string variable into integer variable. Then you can perform operation and store the result. But this is just for your information. As in a first year student in appeal to lab, you are not expected to use these two classes. I'll explain you a very simple class that can be used for accepting input from a user, and that class is called scanner class. Scanner class internally implemented buffered reader and input stream reader classes. So again, I'm sharing with you the same example of rectangle. So here we have a class rectangle with these methods, rectangle and area. So it has integer length, breadth, constructor, and area, right? And this is my main class. It has main function. Note that here what I have written, import java.util.scanner. So scanner class is not in IO package, it is in util package. So you can use util.star, star will include any class from util package, or here I am very specific, I have to use scanner class. So I am using scanner class from util package to accept input from a user. Then I have to create object of this scanner class. This can be any name of your choice. I am using capital SC. You can use small or any other name of your choice. So scanner, then object name is equal to new scanner. Don't forget to pass system.in because we are reading data from a keyboard. That's why we have to pass system.in. System.in will take input from a keyboard. Then there is a method called nextInt. In this object, sc.nextInt will read integer. I ask user enter length and sc.next. It will read input and put in a variable L. Similarly, I'll ask user to enter breadth. I'm using same object sc.nextInt and read it into B. And then I'll create an object of class rectangle R is equal to new rectangle, pass these values and call function area and return the result. So if I run this code, it will ask enter the length and wait for my input. If I give 10, enter, then it will ask for breadth and it will calculate area of rectangle is 200. So just remember how to accept input from the user. You need a scanner class. But you should know that there is something called input stream reader, input or buffered reader classes available in java.io package for input output operation, and there is a concept called wrapper class, which is used to convert string data type to numerical data types. We'll come back to our PPTs for methods. We have seen how to define a method and how to return a variable from a method. So this is called method call or function call. From you're calling this method, and this is method body. So when you call a method, control is transferred, then this part will get executed, and at the end control will get transferred to the next line after the call. So parameter allow a method to be generalized instead of a specific. That is, parameterized method can operate on variety of data or a number of slightly different situations. Here, I'm not passing any input, integer square, and I'm just returning 10 into 10. So this function square will always return me the value 100. So this is very specific function. But here I'm passing some variable I and I'm returning I into I. So if I pass 5, it will return 25. If I pass 10, it will return 100. So depending upon user input, it can return a value. So this is more generalized function than this one. So parameterized methods are more generic than non-parameterized methods. One more example, set dimension. So in this rectangle class, in previous example, here we assigned these values. In this example, they haven't used constructor. It is a default constructor. These values are assigned to the variables in main. But instead of that, you can write a method, say set dimension. You pass these variables and these values are assigned to class variables. So we can have any number of methods. Like for this class rectangle, there are two methods, set dimension and area. You can have a method with parameters like this. Here there are two parameters, integer x comma integer y. So 5 is stored in x and 2 will be stored in y. And now this x value we are passing to length and this value of y we are passing to breadth or assigning to breadth. Similarly, here if we have three variables in case of box, width, height and depth. So we are defining here set dimension function with three variables and these variables we assign to class variables. So to use this box class, we need to create object myBox1 and myBox2. Now here I am calling a method set dimension. In previous example, we assign these values in the main itself like this, myBox1 dot width, height and depth. So I have to repeat this twice because I am creating two objects. If I am creating three objects, I have to again repeat this code, myBox3 dot width, height and depth. But if I create a function, say set dimension, like here set dimension. So what I have to do is just call that method set dimension with parameters for myBox1 and myBox2, and then we call the volume function to display volume of myBox1 and myBox2. So class and object example, we can consider car as a class and characteristics are steering wheels, seats, brakes, etc. We have seen multiple examples of class and object in previous unit. So behavior is mobility. So we can say Honda City having a registration number 4654 is an object which belongs to a car class. So class car, it has data members, model, color and brand and method, speed and size. So class is a very general concept. And when we talk about a specific car, for example, Ertiga, its model is Ertiga, color is maroon color and brand is Maruti. Or we are talking about XUV. And it's Swift. So these are objects which are real world entities. Using this class, we can create such real world entities or objects. So initializing object can be tiresome. So initializing object means variables of that object. So we have seen two methods here. One, you can directly assign these values in main method like this, width, height and depth with object dot or object name and dot operator, or you can write a separate function, for example set dimension, and here you can assign these values. So another method is using a constructor. Just a minute, girls. So what is a constructor? I have used constructor 2-3 times during the lecture. So constructor is mainly used to initialize object. Use of function like set dimension, we have seen in rectangle class as well as in box class, we use set dimension function. It can help, but it is a user's responsibility or the programmer's responsibility to call this function. So we have to call a function and then these values will be get assigned. For example, here I have to call this set dimension function, myBox dot set dimension, and pass these values. Programmer wants some simpler solution. Whenever we create object, it should get initialized with some initial values. So this can be done with the help of constructor. So because the requirement for initialization is very common, Java allows object to initialize themselves when they are created. So whenever object is created, it will get initialized automatically. And this automatic initialization is performed through the use of constructor. As the name says, it constructs the object. So it is not only creating the object, but it will initialize it to some default values. So constructor initializes object immediately upon creation. So these are some features of or properties of a constructor. Note that constructor name is same as that of a class. So name of constructor should be similar to that of a class. If a class is rectangle, then constructor should name as rectangle. If class is box, so name of constructor should be box. And it resides inside a class and it is syntactically similar to a method. So you can say that it is a special method, a special type of a method. Method means function, whose name is similar to that of a class. Note that once defined, constructor is automatically called. No need to call like using object dot to call a constructor. Constructor is automatically called by a system when object is created before new operation completes. Constructor have no return type, not even void. This is very important. Constructor is not returning anything to a system because system is calling a constructor. That's why there is no return type, not even void. This is because return type of a class constructor is of class type itself. So it is a constructor's job to initialize internal state of an object so that the code creating that instance will have fully initialized and usable object immediately. So this was our previous example with a method. We have used setDimension method to initialize these variables with some values. So instead of that, we can use a constructor. So note that class name is box, constructor name is box. It is a method, it is a default constructor. So just opening and closing bracket. And we are initializing it with some fixed values. 10, 10, 10. So whenever we create a box, my box is equal to new box. So this dimensions of new box will be 10, 10, 10 automatically because we have given these values here. So any new box is created, no need to assign any values using setDimension or main method. We can directly calculate the volume and it will be the same in both the cases. Say 10,000, 1,000, 10 into 10 into 10 because as a default constructor, we initialize it to 10, 10, 10. If you want to make it generalized, we need to pass parameters to this constructor. So that constructor is called parameterized constructor. Java creates default constructor for the class when the constructor is not defined explicitly for the class. Even if you didn't provide this constructor, which is called a default constructor, Java automatically initializes variables to their default values. For example, default value for integer is 0, default value for string is null, default value for any object is null, for floating point or a double is 0.0. So Java automatically initializes variables to their default values. In C, whenever you create a variable, it is not initialized to 0, that's why it can take any garbage value. So default constructor automatically initialize all instance of a variable to their default values, which is 0 in case of integer, short, byte, or type of integer variables.
Okay.
Null in case of objects or in case of string. False in case of Boolean data type for numeric types, reference types, and Boolean respectively. Yes, any queries? So that is about default constructor. When we pass parameter to a constructor, it is called parameterized constructor. So it may be necessary to initialize various data elements of a different object with different values when they are created. So like in this case, whenever you create object, it automatically gets value 10, 10, 10. So whenever I create any new object, it is similar dimension 10, 10, 10. I want every object should have different dimensions depending upon user. In that case, we need parameterized constructor. So if you want different object with different values, then we have to pass arguments to a constructor when the object is created. So the constructor that take arguments are called parameterized constructors. So this is example of constructor. Just a simple example, class example. Default constructor means without any parameter. I'm just writing a system.out.println default constructor. Then if I can have any number of constructors just different with different parameters. So this is a constructor with two parameters, I and j. So parameterized constructor with two parameters. I can have parameterized constructor with three parameters, 4, 5, 6, 1, anything number of. So any class can have any number of constructors which are differ with number of parameters. So constructor without any parameter is called default constructor, and constructor with parameter is called parameterized constructor. And how these constructors are called? So if I create an object, example obj is equal to new example, without any parameter, it will call this constructor and it will print default constructor. If I create an object with two parameters, it will call this constructor and print this line, parameterized constructor with two parameters. If I create an object with three parameters, then it will call third constructor. Note that one object can call only one constructor, not all three constructors. So whenever object gets created, constructor will be called. If the programmer has provided a constructor, it will call a programmer constructor, which is default or parameterized. If programmer has not written any constructor, Java automatically call default constructor and initializes values. Let's see this example with a Python tutor. Types of constructors. So I'm taking this example rectangle, which is already there. I'll just show you with default constructor and parameterized constructor. For a default constructor, I didn't have to pass any parameters, and I'm initializing these values to say 1, 1. I want to create a rectangle of size 1, 1. Whenever it gets created with default constructor. This is parameterized constructor, only two constructors. So let me create one object, rect r1 is equal to new rect. And if I didn't pass any parameter. And this is second object r2 with these values 5, 2. So if I call r1 dot area, I'm printing area of rectangle 1. It's then I'm calling this r2 dot area function and want to print area of rectangle 2. It's. Let's see how it will work. So execution started from main. It will create, note that for R1, we are not passed any parameter. So control is given to the, or this object is called, sorry, this constructor is called default constructor. So now this length and breadth will get initialized with 1, 1. So length is initialized to 1, breadth is initialized to 1. Now for R2, I'm creating another object, but now here I have passed parameters for R2. So for R2, it has the control is not moved to line default constructor. It has started from line number 11, that is parameterized constructor. So while creating that object, it will initialize it with 5 and 2. So we have two objects, R1 which is initialized to 1, 1 and R2 which is initialized to 5, 2. This was initialized with default constructor and it was initialized with parameterized constructor. Now when we are calling R1.area, note that this is an area method which is at line number 18. This length and breadth, it is pointing to length and breadth of R1 because this method we have called with R1.area. So it will execute and output will be 1. Area of rectangle 1 is 1. And for R2.area, again it is line number 18, it's getting executed, but now this is pointing to length and breadth of R2. So the pointer where R2 is pointing, this will point. And you'll get output 10. I can have one more constructor if you want, only with length. Suppose I can create one more constructor with one parameter. So here length and breadth of equal size. Note that only number of parameters should be different. Here name is same, which is that of a class name. Here no parameter, single parameter, two parameter. To call this constructor, whenever I create an object rect R3, new rect with only one parameter, for this it will call this constructor with one parameter. So it will just match these parameters. For R1 object, it will call default constructor. For R2 object, it will call a constructor with two variables. For R3, it will call a constructor with one parameter. Is it clear? What is a constructor? Two types of constructors, default constructor and parameterized constructor. Class can have any number of constructors. They should differ in number of parameters. So R1 called default constructor, R2 has called parameterized constructor with two parameters. And for R3, third object, it will call a constructor with one parameter. So note that it is start executing from line number 10. Got it? So we have three objects, R1, R2, R3, R1 with length 1, 1, R2 with 5 and 2, and R3 with whatever the user enters for length, the same value will be copied to the breadth. And area we are calculating for R1 and R2. Similarly, you can calculate area for R3 by R3 dot area. Any queries, girls? You got the concept of constructor? Yes, Anushka?
Ma'am, in the function where two parameters are passed, there you have given two semicolons. So do we have to write in that manner?
Where?
In the function where you have passed two parameters above.
This one? Oh, that is by default. That
Okay.
is mistake.
Okay.
I have just copy pasted that code. No need to give two semicolons. Only one semicolon is needed. So today we have seen what is a method, how to return, how to pass parameters to a method, how to return value from a method. Then we have seen how to accept input from a user, scanner class, and input stream class and buffer reader class. We have also talked about wrapper classes. And then we have seen what is a constructor. Constructor is mainly used to initialize values. of a class, and there are two types of constructors, default constructor and parameterized constructor. And a class can have any number of parameterized constructor. Need that these constructors differ from each other in number of parameters. Name of the constructor should be similar to that of class. There should not be any return type, not even void.